Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and today I want to do a review for you for 1990's Beyond Darkness, also known as La Casa 5. Now, if you've watched any of my other reviews on Ghost House and Witchery, those are La Casa 3 and La Casa 4. Beyond Darkness is the final, what I believe is the final one, is La Casa 5. Now, Beyond Darkness clocks in at 93 minutes and is directed by Clyde Anderson, which is the name given on the credits. That is an assumed name. It's actually directed by Claudio Fabrazzo, which, if you are familiar with him, he did direct Troll 2 under the assumed name of Drake Floyd. Drake Floyd. He also wrote Monster Dog under the alias Clyde Anderson and was uncredited for writing and directing Zombie 3. Now, Beyond Darkness tells the story of two priests, Father Peter and Father George. Father Peter is played by Gene LeBrock, who's done some TV, and he's also in the main character in this film, Metamorphosis, which I'll be reviewing shortly. Father George is played by David Brandon, who was in Stage Fright, the masterpiece 80s slasher, which is one of my favorite slashers. And he was in Roberto Bava's Delirium. And he was also in a movie that I saw somewhat recently, like maybe 6 months ago on Netflix, called Never Lake, which was different, but that's a different story. Father George is visiting a prison in the beginning of the film and kind of giving last rites to a woman who's going to the electric chair, who has killed a bunch of children, which turns out to be a witch. He spirals downward from his encounter with this witch, which brings us to Father Peter, who moves in with his wife and child into this house. Now, you find out later on in the film that Father George and Father Peter went to seminary school together and actually knew each other. So it kind of brings them back together when bad things start happening in the house. And I'm kind of going to leave it there. I actually did like this film. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it better than Witchery, which I believe I gave a 5, but not quite as much as Ghost House, which I gave a 7. This kind of falls in between the two of them, in my opinion. In doing some research before I actually picked this up to do a review for it, I hadn't heard very good things about this film, but I actually liked it. It does have an Italian feel, which not surprising because Claudio Fabrazzo directed it. But it's another one of those not haunted house movies, but contain movies in the house where it throws everything at you but the kitchen sink. So it's one of those types of movies. I did enjoy it. Uh, Being a horror fan, and I think anyone who is a die-hard horror fan, I think we have to suspend disbelief, because if you go into a film, any kind of horror film, um, trying to make sense of a lot of things that happen, I don't think you're going to be very happy with the film. But one of the things that kind of struck me as funny was Father Peter's character was married and has a child. Now, I live next door to a deacon, and actually was talking to him. I was pretty sure I was right, but I got kind of confirmation from him. Priests aren't allowed to marry, so that kind of, it's kind of that whole suspend disbelief sort of thing. I was aware of that, so that kind of, it didn't take me out of the movie, but I thought it was kind of weird. But overall, I did enjoy this film. Now, some interesting things about it. Linda Blair was offered a role in the film, but turned it down. And this being the last La Casa movie, I actually thought this was stronger than the previous one, Witchery. So whether that has anything to do with Linda Blair not accepting the role or whatever, I like Linda Blair. I've always liked The Exorcist, Savage Streets, but for some reason her performance in Witchery just didn't do anything for me. So anyway, I'm gonna give this movie a 6, and I think if you like Ghost House, I think you'll like this. If you liked Witchery, which I did like Witchery, I just didn't like it as much, I think you'll also like this. But give it a shot, see what you think. Like I said, I'm going to give it a 6. And that's my review. So until next time, guys, peace.